Nanotechnology is a term that gets bandied around a fair bit. The promise of longer-lasting bread, super low-salt soy sauce, even Kraft Foods' interest in a smart blob that can be made to taste like anything using nanotechnology have all been part of the highly speculative future of nano foods.
But what about here and now? How many of these foods already have nanoparticles in them? And what do we know about the harm they might cause? Well, the answer to both questions is we don't actually know.
Without any doubt at all, there are nanomaterials in food contact materials, and in agriculture already available in Australia. Foods to which children are exposed, such as Mentos, donuts, M&Ms, and Cadbury's chocolate, we have no idea what is on the market here, and we have no idea what their impacts are. And it is our regulators that are responsible for tracking that and regulating that, and they're just not doing it.
So let's get into the history and exactly what we're talking about here in nanotechnology. The question here is, but should artificial nanoparticles be added to our foodstuffs? And you can see in this graph here that the nanoparticular matter was first started to work on in 1959 all the way through 2010. Moore's law says that computer technology will double every year, and that's been proven year after year, and this is also applicable to nanotechnology. Despite being the first referred to nearly 40 years ago, the word of nanotechnology, particularly in relation to food, is still a long way from being part of mainstream discussion. That's why it's so important to get this out right now. All right, imagine a humble grain of rice. Shrink it down 1,000 times, and it becomes the size of a human skin cell. Shrink it 1,000 times more, and you arrive at the nanoscale, where matter is measured in the billionths of a meter. Over the past 3 decades, scientists have developed a plethora of techniques that allow them to design and build structures at the nanoscale. So to get into a further definition of what nanotechnology is, this is from the Nano Forum European Nanotechnology Symposium, again, April 2006. What it says here is nanotechnology is the manipulation of self-assembly of individual atoms, molecules, or molecular clusters into structures to create materials and devices with new or vastly different properties. Nanotechnology can work from the top down, which means the size of the smallest structures of the nanoscale, photonics applications in nanoelectronics and nanoengineering, or the bottom up, which involves manipulating individual atoms and molecules into nanostructures and more closely resembles chemistry or biology. The definition of nanotechnology is based on the prefix nano, which is from the Greek word meaning dwarf. In more technical terms, the word nano means 10 to the negative ninth power, or 1/billionth of something. For comparison, a virus is roughly 100 nanometers in size. The word of nanotechnology is generally used when referring to materials with a size of 0.1 to 100 nanometers. However, it is also inherent that these materials should display different properties from bulk of micrometric and larger materials as a result of their size. These differences include physical strength, chemical reactivity, electrical conductance, magnetism, and optical effects. Now they are applying these to our food for the past 40 years, folks. Nanoparticulate particles could smuggle vitamins into our daily diet, help deliver medicines where they are needed in the body, or even help to reduce food waste. The possibilities seem endless, said Schill, toxicology expert at Intertech, a multinational safety consultancy that works extensively in the nanotech area. Quote, think of a nanoscale filters to remove bacteria from milk and other beverages without boiling, or nanosensors to detect and alert consumers to pathogens or spoiled food. Some groups are even attempting molecular food manufacturing, he adds. That involves creating food from its basic atomic components, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and so on, without the need for soil, seed, or animals. This is where they're going. If nanofood sounds like science fiction, think again. Nanomaterials are already on your plate. Natural processes used to make cheese, for example, produce nanoscale particles, but consumers tend to be more concerned by artificial nanoparticles that could be added to their food. The problem is that the qualities that make nanomaterials so attractive to the researcher and industry across a wide range of fields, this is important, is the same qualities that make them harmful to human health, says Kathy Jo Wetter, who works on nanotechnologies for the ETC group. For example, nanoparticles small size can make some of them more bioavailable, meaning they are more likely to be absorbed by living tissue. So here's a picture I had previously. You saw the buckyballs here, and the engineering makeup of these atomic cell size nanoparticulate matter. And here's the another outline of the history of nanotechnology. And you can see that Schick Razor, researchers at Rice University, IBM back in 1990, they've been all working on this stuff for quite a long time. Dunkin' Brands Donuts is getting in here. And what I wanted to next bring your attention to is that this is from June 2009 from the foodnavigator.usa.com. This toxicologist, George Burdock of the Burdock Group, quote, the safety risks of nanotechnology used by the food industry could make it, quote, the new asbestos. And what you want to be made aware of is that the dangers involved are not being known at this time. They don't want to know what the dangers are. The regulations, FDA, USDA, have zero oversight into this, which we'll get into more. But this is from a nano-economist. So we got nano-economists going on. This is from an article in 2010. In the past 2 decades, nanotechnology has enabled the creation of new products and changed how many existing goods are being produced. This impact will only continue. It's better to understand how nanotech is being created and commercialized. The greatest challenge for economics interested in tracking nanotech is lack of data. There is plenty of information available of how governments spend nanotech dollars, but there is little or unknown about how the private sector is developing nanotech. Now, the U.S. Patent Office, she had to go to the U.S. Patent Office to figure out who was doing what, and she found back in 2010 there were 4,288 patents taken out. And you can see it's all the big boys: IBM, Canon, Samsung, Hewlett-Packard, 3M, Kodak, Nanosystems, Mitsubishi, DuPont, etc. Now, what exactly is going in the food here? Let's take a look, and I'll show you this PowerPoint presentation. This is from a nanotech presentation in Canadian Farm Business Management. And just we'll go through real quick, and I'll do a more elaborate in a minute here about what the different foodstuffs are they've already entered the system in. But here we can see spinach may soon power mobile devices. Nanotechnology, the ability to work at the atomic, molecular, and even submolecular levels, okay? This is the growth of nanotechnology. It's growing very fast. It's very profitable because the cost is so cheap. The barrier entry is none. There's no regulations. What kind of business model is that, folks? health and nutrition, food processing, safety. But now here's the different ways they're using nanotechnology. They have nano encapsulation, where they put it inside the product, the holding products, the bottles and the wrappers that they put our food in. Nanoceuticals. Now, nanoceuticals is pharmaceuticals, and nano is small. So here's your chemicals going in at the subatomic particulate matter. Then we have nanocomposites. We have nano bioimmune science detection spray. Lab in a pea pod. Now take a look at this, folks, and we'll get into this a little more. They're actually putting chips inside the food so they can detect where it's coming from. And this is very, very hard for people to fathom or realize how far and advanced RFID technology is, that they can actually stick it inside our food, they say, for tracking purposes, but they can also be tracking us because now it's in our system. We'll get into that more in a little bit. All right, so nano-powered catalytic device coated with 20 nanometer width-light zeolite nanoparticles. US FDA NSF approved. It makes better taste, crispier, deep-fried foods. Oh, yum. All right, now we got nano-electronic tongue. Basically what this is doing is taking the place of your tongue to say this tastes good. We have nano-cleaning particles for algae preventer. We have nano feed for chickens that will be going into your eggs. Nano-selenium may stop bird flu, but we don't know because we don't test it. Nano agrochemicals. Smart dust is also something to be spoken about into the geoengineering as well. And what I'm referring to in geoengineering is smart dust is being sprayed in the nanoparticulate matter in the skies with the aluminum and strontium in geoengineering, but that's for another time, another subject. All right, so what else is this nanotechnology being used in currently? Well, it's used in the management of farm production. Here we see that's used, they're saying they're using it in sensors for grain storage, automatic sensors, carbon dioxide sensors, temperature sensors. I mean, all this gets into our food systems, folks. Nano this and nano that. They're coming out with smart treatment delivery systems. Anytime you see the word smart, what they mean is smart for them and dumb for us, okay? Challenges and issues. What are the unintended consequences? Little is known about how the particulars interact with the environment and human body. Nanoparticulars might ferry toxins right past the body's normal defense, and if we don't test for it, we don't know. Potential or unforeseen risks, concerns over the use of consumer safety, and ethical issues. It is the next big thing is really small. No shit.
Dr. Ricky Yada is a leading researcher into nanoscience in food technology. He's at Sydney University to brief Australian food industry experts on the rapidly expanding global field.
Well, there's a number of benefits that nanotechnology could bring in the food area. For example, the delivery of nutrients at a much more lower level.
But right now we don't even have a way to test for nanotechnology in food. And there's inconclusive research on both sides of the debate over their harm and benefit.
That's one of the concerns. What is the long-term effect of consuming products that have nanoparticles? You know, because of the size of these nanoparticles, because they're so small and they can penetrate membranes and tissues, there is some concerns of these nanoparticles accumulating in tissues and organs, and will that have a detrimental effect to the consumer who consumes that product?
Okay, so let's get into what's been already in our food systems that very few people, if anybody, actually knows about. Nanoparticles in bottle, plastic, double shelf life of pasteurized fresh milk from Brazil has increased shelf life of grade A pasteurized fresh whole milk from 7 to 15 days, incorporating silver-based microparticles with bactericidal, antimicrobial, and self-sterilizing properties into the rigid bottles used as packaging material. Goes on to say that the microparticles are inert, so there is no risk of their detaching from the packaging and coming into contact with milk. No risk at all, folks. Nanonex plans to market the product in Europe and the United States, where much bigger volumes of fresh milk are being consumed. All right, and how about your wine? Are you ready for some nanotechnology engineered wine? Now notice this article is from 2007. It's 5 years before the last one. Welcome to the world of nanofoods. 2 recent articles on South African website and UK newspaper shed light on what large food manufacturers are planning to do with food based on nano-encapsulation technology that will make nanotechnology engineered foods a reality. A new world of unlimited choices, to some say. Frankenfood to others. Hello, GMOs. Take wine, for example. Researchers are using food giant Kraft have developed a colorless, tasteless liquid in the lab that consumers will design after you bought it. You will decide what color and flavor you'd like the drink to be and what nutrients it will have in it once you get home. You'll zap the product with a correctly tuned microwave transmitter. This will activate nano capsules, each one about 2,000 times smaller than the width of a hair, containing the necessary chemicals for your choice of drink. Green-hued, blackcurrant flavored with a touch of caffeine and omega-3 oil, say. Unactivated nanocapsules pass through the body and are excreted, while those switched on by Kraft's microwaves will impart taste, flavor, appearance, and even nutritional content to a designer drink. Feel like a glass of Sauvignon Blanc? Switch on the green peppers. Syrah? Dial up some wood smoke, sweaty saddles, and spice. Goodbye cork taint, hello programmable alcohol levels. Nanotechnology can deliver solutions to the age-old problems of wine, writes Neil Pendock. Already in use in brewing and dairy production are nanofilters, screens so small they can filter out microorganisms and even viruses. In lab experiments with these nanofilters, the color has been removed from red wine, turning it to white. Nano-encapsulation of flavor molecules will allow chefs to accurately determine how spicy they wish a dish to be perceived and tune its diners' preferences, or even allow nanocapsules to be selectively activated during a meal. Activation by wine is one example. If that's too much for you, maybe the scientists at Kraft will create a special beverage for you called, quote, traditional wine. Now, if we go over to here, we can see some of the different applications of the food groups. This is from a 2008 article in Global Research. There are 4 key focus areas for nanotechnology food research. Nanomodification of seed and fertilizer pesticides, food, quote, fortification and modification, interactive, here's this word again, smart food, smart packaging and food tracking. Again, if it's smart for them, it's dumb for us. Nanomodification of seeds and fertilizers. Proponents say that they will be used to further automate the modern ag business. Farm inputs, seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, and labor will increasingly become technology modified. Automatic engineering will enable the DNA of seeds to be rearranged in order to obtain different plant properties, including color, growth, season, etc. Highly potent, atomically engineered fertilizers and pesticides will be used to maintain plant growth. Nanosensors will enable plant growth, pH levels, the presence of nutrients, on and on. Now we have food fortification and modification. The tech companies are working to fortify with nano-encapsulated nutrients, which we just went over. Nanotechnology will enable junk foods like ice cream and chocolate to be modified to reduce the amount of fats and sugars the body can absorb. And it says that nano industry could market vitamin and fiber-fortified fat and sugar-blocked junk food as health-promoting and weight-reducing. Here we go. Interactive smart food. Companies such as Kraft and Nestle are designing smart foods that will interact with consumers to personalize food, changing color, flavor, and nutrients on demand. Smart packaging and food tracking. Nanotechnology will dramatically extend shelf life. Mars already has a patent on an invisible, edible nanowrapper which will envelop foods, preventing gas and moisture exchange. Smart packaging containing nanosensors and antimicrobial activators is being developed that will be capable of detecting food spoilage and releasing nano antimicrobes to extend food shelf life, enabling supermarkets to keep food for even greater periods of time for its sales. Nanosensors embedded into food products as tiny chips that were invisible to the human eye would also act as electronic barcodes. So you'd be injecting RFID chips in your system, folks. Now, if you think this is getting into really dark matter, well, here's a quote that I had up originally from the beginning. Dr. David Bennett, a veteran biochemist, says, quote, "Very little risk assessment has been done on this area. even on some products already entering the market, and it's an open question whether it will be done. To Greenpeace and Friends of Earth, it's a gift. And he went on the lack of proper assessment of nanotechnology, quote, scares me shitless. And I don't understand this comment by why Greenpeace and Friends of the Earth think it's a gift. All right, so to give you an idea of the size of the market that we're dealing with here, that the public has zero knowledge perception, this is from August 2009 from the U.S. National Library of Medicine, National Institute of Health. And just quickly, nanotechnologies incorporated an estimated $82 billion worth of manufactured goods in 2008 and appeared in over 800 consumer products on the market. Pre-global financial crisis estimates were that nanotechnology would be in the U.S. $2.6 trillion worth of goods by 2014. I have been unable to find any current estimates updated since 2009 on that estimate, but it is at least that size, and the public is completely unaware. And what I want to bring your attention to is this chart, the evolution of nanotechnology. And this chart is where they're showing that the acceleration of growth, you see here 2010, look at the acceleration of growth they're planning to enter into the markets. And you can see that back in 1970, nanotechnology began to be introduced into our food supply. But here we're right in the sweet spot of this mass accelerated growth, which nobody has a clue about what's going on. So here we can read where some of the world's largest food manufacturers, Nestle, Heinz, Unilever, are blazing the trail, while hundreds of smaller companies will follow their lead. Yet despite potential benefits compared with other nanotechnology arenas, nanofoods do not get a lot of publicity. Here's a list which I'll post in the show notes of just some of the products that have been developed just over the past 5 to 10 years that are in our food already and being developed as well. In the forefront is Kraft. Their industry leads established a nanotech consortium, a collaboration of 15 universities, national research labs in 2000. In 2000, folks, Kraft's focuses on interactive foods and beverages. Australia, for instance, capsules are being used to omega-3 fatty acids to one of the country's most popular brands of white bread. According to the manufacturer, nanocapsules of tuna fish oil added to the tip-top bread provide valuable nutrients, while the encapsulation prevents the bread from tasting fishy. Cannot make this stuff up. In other parts of the world, nanotechnology efforts are focused on the agricultural side of food production. A joint effort among universities in Indiana and Mexico is directed at developing non-toxic nanoscale herbicides. Researchers at Tamil Nadu Agricultural University in India and Monterey Tech in Mexico are looking for ways to attack a weed's seed coating and prevent it from germinating. The range of current nano-food research and development is impressive as the industry's projected growth. Last August, estimated that the nanotechnologies in the food industry were currently valued at $410 million and would grow to $5.8 billion from 2012. And this article was written in 2006. So you see it's everywhere. It's been in our food systems. There's no regulation. Here's an article, June 2014. Pepsi and Coke deny using potentially dangerous nano-sized titanium dioxide. All right, so how much does taxpayer dollar government funding play in the assistance to corporations in their bringing of nano foods into the marketplace? This is Scientific America, again, 2008. Very hard to find current information, so you got to go back some 7 years to find out. So look at this. A wide variety of government agencies, including the FDA and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, have taken an interest in nanotechnology. The federal government spent more than $1.4 billion on research last year as part of the National Nanotechnology Initiative, a joint effort of 25 federal agencies investigating the promise and potential perils of emerging technology. Of that, $40 million was devoted to health and safety research, an amount set to nearly double in 2009. The FDA could not provide figures on how much it spends on assessing the safety of nanoparticles. They don't want to know, they don't ask. With a mission to provide safe food to consumers, but we're not going to test it, so we don't know. The consortium's priorities are to develop sensors which can almost instantly reveal whether a food sample contains toxic compounds or bacteria. All right, food processing. One of the leading bakeries in Western Australia, consortium research of 15 universities to look at applications of nanotechnology, allow a consumer to choose from different flavors and colors. The consortium also has plans to develop smart foods which will release nutrients in response to deficiencies detected by nanosensors and nanocapsules, which will be ingested with the food but remain dormant until activated. All these new developments will make the concept of super foodstuffs a reality, and these are expected to offer many different potential benefits, including increased energy, improved cognitive functions, better immune function, and anti-aging benefits. German company Aquanova has developed a new technology combining two substances of fat reduction and satiety into a single nano carrier, an innovation said to a new approach to intelligent weight management. Unilever is developing low-fat ice creams by decreasing the size of emulsion particles. By doing so, it hopes to use up to 90% less of the emulsion and decrease fat content from 16% to 1%. So all the doctors are going to be told by the drug reps that you've got to have these nanoparticles in your system, and it's healthy for you because you're reducing the fat content, right? You can already see it coming. All right, the use of silver nanoparticles in refrigerators, All Spray for Life, which is manufactured by Health Plus International, uses a newly designed, not tested, pre-metered nanoaerosol nanoceutical delivery system for transmucosal administration of dietary supplements, resulting in increased bioavailability compared with gastrointestinal absorption. Again, addressing the gluten people. Cost because the manufacturing of this nanofood technology does not require much cost outlay because they can remanufacture and recreate the cells and molecules ad infinitum at very little cost.
Mars Australia for comment and were unable to find a local spokesperson for Mentos. For their part, the companies deny that they use nanotechnology in their products. Meanwhile, in the void left by little or no regulations, brands are being slippery about their definition of nanotechnology.
There's a basic assumption I think you can make that if there are new or novel ingredients in food, then the onus of proving that the food and the ingredients are safe should rest on the manufacturer and on the regulator.
Remember the whole GM debate? That was when consumers pressured food manufacturers into clear labelling. So at least while there was ongoing research, they could know what was in their food.
You know, with GM, we debated for the longest time at what level did that GM or gene have to be at in order for us to label it genetically modified. And I think we're going through those same debates again. The consumer's right to know what's in their food supply system. And again, that's a debatable topic right now.
While part of the problem is that nanotechnology particles are a relatively recent addition to the food stream, the other part is that we just don't know which ones and what they might be doing.
Well, I want to thank you all, folks, for making it this far. Hopefully this video has been informative to you and giving you a little insight into what nanofoods are, and given the fact that only 7% have a working knowledge of nanofoods, maybe after this video it gets up to 7.25%, gets around. But as you can see here from this chart, the nanofood explosion is set to just go vertical from here. So it's really important that we get out in front of it and get the masses educated. And while we're at it, we need to fire the FDA, we need to fire the USDA, we need to fire all the government agencies that are working for the corporations and in bed with them, and start growing our own food. Start getting to know your local farmers and bring this to your farmers. They don't know this is going on as well. The other thing we need to do is we need to educate the food activists, and we need to challenge them and confront them who've been so vocal about the GMOs, but they have been complicitly silent about what is going on in the nanofoods that's been occurring for decades. Where's Vandana Shiva speaking out about this? I haven't heard a word about it. How about Jeffrey Smith? He speaks well about the GMOs, but we haven't heard him talk about nanofood intrusion in our foodstuffs now for decades. And how about Michael Pollan? Great guy, great information, but where's his YouTube video showing about the dangers of nanotechnology? And how about the Organic Consumer Association that's supposed to be giving us the righteous news? Why aren't they speaking out and talking about the extreme dangers of nano foods and a lack of oversight. It's in all our food systems, folks. It's here, it's already here, going into our children and destroying lungs, brain cells, getting in through the blood systems, and unknown consequences. All right, that's all I got for today. Look forward to another video. Please be well. Thanks for listening. Na 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 na, na 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 na. Hey, no more nano foods. Na 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 na. Our children cry out. Hey, no more nano foods. Na 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 na. Our children cry out. No more irradiated food. Na 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 na. Our children cry out. No more GMOs. Na 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 na. Our children cry out. No more aspartame. Na 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 na. Our children cry out. No more chemical dyes. Na 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 na. Wake the masses. Let's stop the madness now.